नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, text number 12 and 13. Aho kastam, aho anyayam, yad yuyam dharmanandanaha jivitum narhatta klishtam vipra dharma achyuta ashrayaha. Aho kastam aho anyayam yadyuyam dharmanandanaha jivitum narhatta krishtam vipradharma chutashrayah. Aho kastam aho anyayam yadyuyam dharmanandanaha jivitum narhatta klishtam vipradharma chutashrayah. Aho, oh, custom, what terrible sufferings. Aho, oh, anyayam, what terrible injustice. Yat, because, yuyam, all of you good souls, dharmanandanaha, sons of religion personified, jivitum, to remain alive, na, never, arhata, deserve, klishtam, suffering, vipra, brāhmaṇas, dharma, piety, achyuta, God, ashrayaha, being protected. Translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Bhīṣmadeva said, oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustice you good souls suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you were protected by the brāhmaṇas, God and religion. Please repeat the translation. Bhīṣmadeva said, oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you were protected by the brāhmaṇas, God and religion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Yudhishthira was disturbed due to the great massacre in the battle of Kurukshetra. Bhīṣmadeva could understand this and therefore he spoke first of the terrible sufferings of Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was put into difficulty by injustice only, and the battle of Kurukshetra was fought just to counteract this injustice. Therefore, he should not regret the great massacre. He wanted to point out particularly that they were always protected by the brāhmaṇas, the Lord and the religious principles. As long as they were protected by these three important items, there was no cause of disappointment. Thus, Bhīṣmadeva encouraged Maharaj Yudhishthira to dissipate his despondency. As long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency. However, trying the circumstance of life, Bhīṣmadeva, as one of the authorities in the line, wanted to impress this point upon the Pandavas. Next verse I will recite myself. Samstite atirate pando pratabhala praja vaduhu yushmat krute bahun kleshan praptatokavati muhuhu. As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great general Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were growing up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. Purport. The sufferings of Kunti Devi are doubly lamented. She suffered greatly because of early widowhood, and to get her minor children brought up in the royal family. And when her children were grown up, she continued to suffer because of her son's actions. So her suffering continued. This means that she was destined to suffer by providence, and this one has to be tolerated without being disturbed. Darshan Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamy Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here Bhīṣmadeva is pacifying Maharaj Yudhishthira from the situation of the troubles what they had gone through earlier, and to recover him from the situation of feeling compassionate for all the people who had died in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Bhīṣmadeva, he was a live example who had seen all the troubles what Pandavas have gone through. So he is sympathizing with them. He is saying, Aho kastam aho anyayam. So what terrible sufferings you had gone through. All because of aho anyayam. It is not, you had suffered for your own mistakes, that is no. You have suffered for not being the mistake. You are correct people. This is anyayam to them. This is injustice enforced upon you. Yad yuyam dharmanandanaha. Because you are all sons of religion personified. You are all pious people. But still sufferings have been enforced upon you because of injustice. Jivitam narhatta klistam. And you are not supposed to live alive because Dhritarashtra and his sons have planned in many ways that they have wanted to kill all of you. At every point they were looking to eliminate all of you people. But Vipradharma Achyutashraya. You have been protected all the time because Vipras, by the blessings of the Brahmanas, the blessings of devotees, Vaishnavas, and by the blessings of the Supreme Lord, you are protected in all these circumstances. So, in the purport, Prabhupada says, one is assured of complete protection by the Brahmanas, Lord, and religious principles, and there is no cause of despondency and disappointment. Because Pandavas, because they are pious souls, they had served all these people and they had pleased them by their actions. That's why they were protected in all times and circumstances. So as long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstances of life. So strictly adhering to the instructions of the spiritual master and by the guidance of the Supreme Lord and following the rules and regulations of the scriptures, they have been always been protected. And the same suffering is explained now. Okay, Pandavas have suffered to one level. Now he is saying Kunti has suffered double. So what is her suffering? It says, Samstite Atirate Pandu. Samstite, after the demise of Atirataha, a great warrior, Pandu, a general. Prita Bala Praja Vaduhu. So Prita, with her children, she became Bala Praja, means a widow at the very young age. Vaduhu, their daughter-in-law. Yusmat Krite Bahun Kleshan. because of your actions, Yusmat Krute, Bahun Kleshan, she had suffered more sufferings. Prapta Tokavati Muhu, because of your having grown up sons, in spite of, she underwent constantly so many Kleshans. So there also says, one has to tolerate the sufferings destined by providence without being disturbed. So he says all this is possible only because of providence. Because being a great devotee, she had unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord. She had never left her faith even in the midst of so many sufferings. So when she was married to Pandu, so at that time Pandu had gone for a hunting process where he shot a brāhmana who was in the form of a deer enjoying with his wife. So that brāhmana, while dying, he will curse Pandu by saying that you, when you want to enjoy with your wife, you will die. So Pandu was such a great warrior, with single-handedly, with a single bow, he conquered the entire world and brought it under the Hastinapura kingdom. So he was a proven emperor. So but when he heard the situation, he left the situation and he left the kingdom and he renounced and went to Himalayas to practice spirituality. So there, at one particular point when the atmosphere was so favorable, so he became infatuated by his wife, and the wife was instigating him not to follow her. But still, the moment of that sexual desire was so great, when he tried to indulge with his wife, he passed away. At that time it is said that Yudhishthira Maharaj was the eldest with 14 to 16 years old. All the others are 1 to 2 years older. So the younger ones will be Nakula Sahadeva. They will be around 7-8 years old. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj is 14, the Bhima will be around somewhere around 12 to 13. Arjuna will be around 10 to 11. The other one will be around 8 years. So all the small children. Now Kunti, she is the eldest queen. She wanted to do Sati Sahagamana. But Madri, she said, no, I will not be able to take care of these 5 children. So she went to Sati Sahagamana. Then Kunti had to take care of these 5 sons. Now after some time, after the funeral and all the formalities were done, all the great sages had taken them to the Hastinapura to be left to be taken care by Dhritarashtra. When they were brought here, Duryodhana was saying, he gave a reason that these are all not sons of the Pandu at all, because they have been impregnated by some demigods. So they are not at all Pandu's qualified children. They are not entitled for this kingdom. See, out of enviousness. Then if you see the consideration, then Vichitravirya and Chitravirya are also not sons of they're like Dhritarashtra and all these people. They are all not sons of Vichitravirya also. So then they also cannot claim. See, that envious attitude, for him it can be applicable, for others it cannot be applicable. So from there, they started feeling these are the competent people. Till now we were thinking we are the whole soul enjoyers of our kingdom. Now competitors have come. Either he will become the king or the kingdom will be split into 2. Either way, he is not going to get the full control of the kingdom. That envious attitude. It was in a small way, but Shakuni gave him a big push. He was always to that flame when you add fuel. So when you add petrol or when you add diesel, that flame will be glowing very heavily. So he was always putting fuel into their minds and consciousness, saying that Yudhishthira and Pandavas were all your competitors. They will take away what is your rightful claim. So to maintain their status of that, they only the whole supporters for that, or who are the next to that kingdom, they wanted to eliminate Pandavas. So they had done various things. We know Mahabharata, like Kunti Maryani also like Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanat Asat Sabaya Vanavasa Krichataha Mrude Aneka Maharatastarto Draunyaschasma Hare Abhirakshita. Because Hari had protected them in all the circumstances, they were able to survive and come out successfully. So now Kunti, she lost her husband also, and she had to suffer seeing her children are suffering. See, suffering of Pandavas is one thing, suffering of Kunti is second thing. Because once Prabhupada says, there was a famous writer who had written a book called Aurangzeb. So when this book was written, that book was very published, and so I think it was written as Shah Jahan. The book was titled Shah Jahan. So his friend purchased about that book, and when he read that book is completely about Aurangzeb atrocities. But the title is Shah Jahan. So he went and asked, "Hare, you have written a book about Aurangzeb's atrocities, but you have given title as Shah Jahan. So what is this?" Then the author explained, even though Aurangzeb had done so many atrocities, all the sufferings were taken by Shah Jahan. That's why he is the hero in that perspective. So here also all the sufferings were taken by Pandavas. But that mental impact was more on Kunti. How to protect her sons always. She is always in anxiety. Suffering is one, anxiety is the other thing. So she suffered doubly. That's what it is mentioned here. Now as Vaishnavas, what we should do? So what did Prabhupada say about tolerance? Because the perspective is explained about the whole thing is everything is by destiny, but Pandavas have suffered all these things, tolerated. So Prabhupada says at many places about this tolerance. The Lord is so kind to his devotees that when severely testing him, the Lord gives him the necessary strength to be tolerant and continue to remain a glorious devotee. So Lord is only testing them to make them tolerant and to bring the glories out of the devotee. That's why he is testing. Next. The age of Kali is so strong that it affects even the so-called followers of Lord Chaitanya. At least the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must come out of India to preach this cult all over the world, because this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. The followers of Lord Chaitanya must execute his will with heart and soul, being more tolerant than the trees and humbler than the straw in the street. The Prabhupada is saying that this is an opportunity. The whole world will not encourage us about spirituality. So we have to be merciful upon people who are unfortunate. So we have to come out of India to preach. So a person who is situated in mode of goodness is certainly more intelligent than others. Therefore, he can practice Brahmanical activities like speaking the truth, controlling the senses, controlling the mind, remaining always clean, practicing tolerance, having full knowledge about one's self-identity, and understanding devotion service. So these are the principles what devotees have to enhance upon. He has to follow Sattvaguna, because you are intelligent among men. Devotees are intelligent among men. So he has to practice Sattvaguna and all the qualities of Sattvaguna. One should be very meek and humble in the personal transactions. And if insulted, a Vaishnava should be tolerant and not angry. See, anybody for self, we should be tolerant and not angry. But if there is blasphemy against one's Guru and another Vaishnava, one should be as angry as fire. So you should not hear blasphemy of Guru or another Vaishnava or the Supreme Lord. At that time, we should be as angry as the fire and we should blast that opposite person. But if it is to personal accusations, all these things and all, one should simply tolerate and should go on. He should not respond back. One is advised to do no harm to any other living being or animal, because such harmful actions are equally harmful to he who does the harm. Like sometimes when we are angry, what do? We point a finger at opposite person. What does that mean? So you show one finger, but three fingers are pointed towards back to me. So generally said, Tana kopame tana shatru, tana shantame tanaka raksha. If it is one's own anger, anger is like fire. So who is holding that anger? I am only holding that anger. I want to burn others. In the process of burning others, I am burning myself also. And I will burn more. So this is the point Prabhupada is saying here. But before learning these principles of non-violence, one has to learn two other principles. So Vaishnava symptoms is non-violence, ahimsa. So but he has to learn two other principles, namely humble and pridelessness. Unless one is humble and prideless, one cannot be harmless and non-violent. And after being non-violent, one has to learn tolerance and simplicity of living. This is systematic connectivity. Unless one is humble and prideless, one cannot be harmless and non-violent. And after being non-violent, one has to learn tolerance and simplicity of living. They are all interconnected. So basically, the more the humbler, the more one can attract the attention of the Lord. Sometimes devotees are ill-treated by envious persons. It is advised that an advanced devotee should be tolerant. He should show complete mercy to persons who are ignorant or innocent. A preacher is meant to show mercy to innocent persons, whom he can elevate to devotional service. So everyone is an eternal servant by constitutional nature. Therefore, a devotee's business is to awaken everyone's Krishna consciousness. That is his mercy. So this is in the context you can understand Haridas Thakur. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces. At the end, what was his prayer towards the people who were beating him? He is saying, these are ignorant people. Please forgive them, my Lord. They are doing their duty because their king has ordered them. They have to do because or else their job will go away. They are not interested personally. There is no grudge against Haridas Thakur. But because they have been ordered, they are doing their. So he is saying they are ignorant people. Please be compassionate upon them. So by his that merciful glance and compassion, he is evoking Krishna consciousness in all those people. All the seers and all those people are becoming Krishna conscious. So that is the mercy of the pure devotee suffering also. He suffers so that others can become advanced in Krishna consciousness. This is mercy upon them. So one's inability to tolerate an offense committed by another is called as amarsha. And one's inability to tolerate the opulence of another is called as jealousy. So these are the qualities, because in Vaishnava practice, when we are trying to advance in spiritual life, we have to be very careful. Others tolerate an offense committed by another is called as amarsha. Tolerate the opulences of others is called as jealousy. So jealousy and amarsha are both caused by intolerance. So we should not develop all these bad qualities. Before giving up this present body, if he is unable to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the forces of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. So how to become comfortable, how to become peaceful in this life? So before quitting this body, one has to tolerate the urges of the senses and check the forces of desire and anger. Because these are the two things which will bind the living entity. Then he becomes peacefully situated in this material world. So Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, in one context, he says, those favored by God find their path set by thorns. There is excessive mercy upon us by the Lord means we are traveling on a process which is full of thorns. Mulla kampa, mulla dari. There is no peace or happiness in our worldly life. Circumstances create turmoil and annoyance. See, one-liners. There is no peace and no harmony. Its circumstances always create turmoil means a war-like situation, and annoyance means disturbance. Physical illness with Hari Bhajana is preferred to physical fitness without Hari Bhajana. So, sickness without Hari Bhajana is preferred to, physical illness with Hari Bhajana is preferred to physical fitness without Hari Bhajana. Our span of life on earth is short. Our life will be crowned with success if the body wears out with constant discourses on Hari. So if we can finish this body in the service of Hari, our life becomes glorified. So there was one context in in Bhagavatam itself. So seeing that Kunti and Pandavas were suffering extremely under the actions of Dhritarashtra and their evil sons, Krishna informed Akrura to go and see what is the situation there, get the live report. So based upon the details, we will take next further action. So Akrura had visited. So he was discussing with Kunti, he was discussing with Vidura. He was understanding the live details, how they are suffering, sir. So how Kunti Maharani offers prayers to Krishna and how she expresses Her state too, Akrura, is mentioned in Bhagavatam. She says, Tejo, Ojo, Balam, Viryam, Prashraya, Adimsha, Sadgunan. The Pandava children, they are all with Sadgunan, all good qualities. Tejaha by their strength, Ojaha by their military skill, powerful influence, physical strength, bravery and humility. All these qualities are endowed upon the sons of Pritha, Kunti. Prajanuragam Parteshu. And people were also very favorably affectionate towards the sons of Pritha, Parteshu. Na Sahadvis Chikirshitam, but Dhritarashtra and sons could not tolerate Na Sahadbihi, they could not tolerate Chikirshitam, their evil intentions. Krutam cha Dhritarashtra Riyad. And because they could not tolerate, they endeavored into actions. Kritam cha Dhritarashtra. What kind of actions? Garadhanadi apeshalam. Gara means poison. They gave poison. They did all the endeavors to kill the Pandavas. Achaksho sarvam evasmai. So she started explaining everything. Achaksho, what she see, what she could hear, and what she could experience, everything. Achaksho, Achakyo, Sarvam Evasmai, Partha Vidura Evacha. So, Pritha, Vidura Evacha. Pritha and Vidura explained everything, all these situations to Akrura. Then, Pritha tu Bhrataram Praptam. So, since she could have the brother Akrura, she could meet brother Akrura. Akruram Upashutyatam. Then she spoke confidentially. She approached him and confidentially she spoke her mind. Uvacha, Janma Nilayam, remembering her birthplace, Smaranti, Asru Kalekshana, with tears in her eyes, remembering her family birthplace, she started asking Akrura in a confidential manner. Api Smaranti Naha Somyaha, oh my dear gentle brother, Api Smaranti, whether all of you people remember us. Pitaro Bhratarascha, my father, my brothers, Bhagino, my sisters, Bhratar Putrasya, my sons of like Krishna and Rama, my sons of my brothers, Jamayaha Sakya Evacha, and my girlfriends who were all there at my time, whether they all remember me or not. Bhratareyo Bhagavan Krishna, the son of my brother is Lord Krishna, who is Bhagavan himself. Sharanyo Bhakta Vaksala, he is very affectionate to his devotees and he is the shelter, Sharanyaha, to give protection. Paitur Swasreyan Smarati, does he remember us? I am the sister and my sons. Does he remember? Ramasya Amburekshanaha, and whether the Lord Rama, Balarama, who has lotus eyes, does he remember us or not? Sapatna Madhye Sochantim, I am fully lamenting, Sochantim, Sapatnya Madhye, and it is fight between family people, Sapatnya, relatives, it is fight between relatives, I am lamenting. Vrukanam Harinam Iva, in midst of the wolves, like when deers are there surrounded by wolves. So my situation is like we and my sons are surrounded by wolf-like mentality of Dhritarashtra and their sons. Shanta Ishyati Mam Vakyai. So to pacify me, Shanta Ishyati Mam Vakyai, by words. Pitar Hinamsha Balakan, whether Krishna is going to come here to pacify us, my sons who are bereft of their father, is he going to us and pacify us by his sweet words? Krishna Krishna Maha Yogin. Oh my dear Lord Krishna, you are the greatest of the yogis. Vishwa Atman Vishwa Bhavana. You are the soul of the universe and you are the welfare of the universe. Vishwa Bhavana. Prapannanam Pahi Govinda. I am surrendered unto you. Prapannanam. Oh my dear Govinda, Pahi, please protect us. Shishubhischa Avasidatam. Because we are overwhelmed with my sons. I and my sons are overwhelmed by all these troubles. Please protect us. We are surrendered unto you. Na anyat tava padambojat. Except your lotus feet, there is no other extra option for me. Na anyat. There is no other option. Pashyami Sharanam. I see, except your lotus feet, to take shelter at your lotus feet, there is no other option. Nrunam Bibhyatam Mrityu Samsara. For those people who are Bibhyatam, who are fearful of this Mrityu Samsara, the cycle of birth and death. Ishwarasya Apavargikat. You are the Supreme Lord who can award liberation from this cycle of birth and death. Namah Krishnaya Shuddhaya. I offer my respects to Krishnaya, who is Shuddhaya, very pure. Brahmane Paramatmane, who is the absolute truth, the super soul of all living entities. Yogishwaraya Yogaya, who is the master of devotional service and who is the source of all knowledge. Tvamaham Sharanam Gata. I accept shelter and I have come to shelter at your lotus feet. So in that way, she offered her respects to Krishna. Seeing the situation, see, Kunti herself is expressing all these points. And she is saying, only Krishna, you can protect me, nobody else can protect me. This is the situation. Even Narada Muni, when he met Yudhishthira Maharaj and all the Pandavas in that Rajasuya Yajna, there was a discussion. So at that time, Narada Muni glorifies Pandava's position by saying, Yatahi yuyam nrupadeva dushyajat apadganat uttara atmanaha prabho yat pada pankeruha sevaya bhavan aharasin nirjita dig gajaha kratun. Saying, oh my dear Nrupadeva, oh Yudhishthira, Prabhoho, because of your service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, Yuyam, all of you Pandavas, Dushyajat, you defeated the greatest dangers. Apadganat, which are posted by numerous kings and demigods. Apadganat, this is Apadgana. And Yat Pada Pankeroha Sevaya, by serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Bhavan Nirjitaha, you have conquered all situations and all people, all your enemies. Yata Dig Gajaha, they were like very strong elephants. And thus, Aharishat Kratun, you have collected all the ingredients for this sacrifice. Because it was Rajasuya sacrifice. And they were given a kingdom with no facilities. So Yudhishthira Maharaj had to conquer everyone, bring out the amount, and he had to establish himself to perform this Rajasuya sacrifice. Because Uttarata Atmanaha, because by his grace you have been delivered from all material involvement. Because Krishna is there constantly by your guidance, for your protection, you are able to succeed in all these endeavors. So even Narada Muni was saying, there was one question somewhere, it says in Nectar of Devotion, I think. Narada Muni was asking Lord Krishna, so Pandavas were your such a dear devotees, you have given them so much trouble, but never ever they have questioned you, why me? See, the thing is, when we have so many facilities, one problem comes, we question the Lord, why me when there are so many people? Why you have given me that problem? But Pandavas, when they are with so many problems, but they never ever questioned Krishna, why me? So this glorifies how great Pandavas are. So this also sets us an example how one has to engage in devotional service to the Lord without any expectations. So the spiritual perspectives are always important for us. There was one small story which we come across. There was one king and one devoted minister. Whatever actions happen, the minister used to always glorify the Supreme Lord. Either good or bad, he always says it is the mercy of the Lord, he always says. So the king used to go fight a war and win a kingdom, win his enemies. He says, by the mercy of the Lord you have won. The king used to become angry. I worked hard, I defeated the opposite person and you are giving credit to the Supreme Lord. So the element of that, uncomfortableness with the minister was increasing in that king over a period of time. So one day the king asked the minister to accompany him for hunting. So they went to the forest because the king's horse will be very fast and the minister's horse was also comfortably fast compared to the other army people who are accompanying them. The king and the minister went to the interior parts of the jungle and there they saw some beautiful deer. They wanted to capture them. In the meantime, there was one tiger which attacked the king. The king successfully fought with the tiger and he killed the tiger. But in the process, the tiger bit one of his finger. He lost one of the finger. So after everything came successful, then in the meantime, the other party also came and they saw the situation. This minister said, "It is by the mercy of the Lord you have been protected today." So he says, "My dear Lord, please, thank you, please accept our respects." Now king could not tolerate more. He became infuriated. I fought the war, I lost my finger also in the process, but you are giving credit to the Lord, not to me, who have protected you from the tiger. He became very angry and he said, "My dear soldiers, take this minister and put him in jail." Now he was been put in the jail. After some time, the king, further he wanted to fight more. He wanted to capture more animals, so he went into the further jungle. But when he went inside, he was caught by the local Atavikas and they took him. So they were conducting a festival where they wanted to offer one Narabali. And they thought, who is the best person than the king? They are going to offer this king itself as Narabali. And they took him, they bathed him, they performed all the rituals. And when they are about to perform the Bali, the priest came and he saw that the king was shot with one of the fingers. So he said, "This is Asampurna Sarira. This cannot be offered," and they left him. So the king immediately came back and somehow reached his capital, went to the prison where his minister was there, begged at his feet and requested him, "Please forgive me that I had done. Yes, you are correct. It is the Lord who had protected." But he said, "Well, if Lord has protected me, why did he made you to put in the jail?" The minister said, "Sir, if I would have been with you, they would have left you and they would have captured me. And they would have offered me as Sampurna Sharira and they would have offered me. So Lord, in one way, He has protected you also, He has protected me also." See how the Lord's planning happens. We all understand why me, but we don't know what is Lord's plan. He is taking us to a situation so that either we learn or we advance in spiritual life. Either way, there is no loss in the situation. He makes us more tolerant and He makes us more dependent upon the Lord. So, spiritual life is always about these perspectives. Like similarly, Jiva Goswami, he is the youngest of all the Goswamis. So, when he wanted to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, all his father and the two uncles, all three family members, they are exclusive devotees of Lord Chaitanya. And they very at the early life, his father passed away. He was a young boy. The other two brothers like Rupa and Sanatana, they had left to Vrindavan. They had left all family life. So he was there somewhere near Navadvip, Ramakeli was their place. So he was there under their parents and maternal grandparents' place. So he wanted to have darshan of, and he wanted to proceed in the direction of his uncles. So he was growing up into a strong boy. He was pulled by attraction towards his uncles in Vrindavan. So he started developing a peculiar feeling that he wanted to give up all the pleasures regarding the ornaments, beautiful clothing, comfortable beds and voraciousness, and he wanted to engage in discussions of, he was not interested in royal welfare and all these things because they were all ministers, no. They were in a royal family, royal uplands. He is not interested in any of these royal topics. The village people could see his indifference towards this material world. All the other people, all the surrounding people, he could see how Jiva Goswami is indifferent, how he is detached to this worldly life and royal life. So they were discussing. The sons of Kumaradeva, they became great Vaishnavas and scholars of scriptures. Sanatan, Rupa and Vallabha. I have never seen such neutrality as exhibited by Sri Vallabha in his detachment from worldly pleasures. When he died, the young son Jiva was stunned. But Jiva also had no interest in wealth or riches. My heart breaks when I think of him. One day I saw him in a lonely place crying bitterly. Out of ecstasy, out of separation. So all the people were having various compassionate feelings about Jiva Goswami and they were wondering, very soon he is going to renounce this world by his actions and things. So he was always anticipating, he was always thinking of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. So one day, when he went to sleep, he had a dream in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu appeared with all their Sankirtan party. So when Jiva Goswami went and paid obeisances, they all came and they blessed him, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed his lotus feet on Jiva Goswami, and Nityananda Prabhu placed his lotus feet, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu said, all the other Vaishnavas, please give him your mercy. He is worthy to be the descendant of the next of the disciples of to carry out the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all of you should bestow your mercy upon this Jiva Goswami. So when he woke up, the dream is finished. Then he started feeling even more separation from the Lord. He started crying. So then he left towards Navadvipa. So at that time he approached all the Vaishnavas there. He saw. So by seeing them, they all took him to the shelter of Nityananda Prabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu at that time staying in the house of Srivas Pandit. So some of the verses which say, Ahe Prabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda, Ahe Karuna Sindhu Shri Advaita Chandra. He was praying, oh my dear Chaitanya, oh my dear Nityananda, oh my dear Advaita Acharya. Aha Krupamaya Prabhura Shri Priyagana. Oh my dear associates, you are all dear associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you are all Krupamaya, you are very compassionate. Mohena patite kara krupara bhajana. I am a fallen person. Please be merciful upon me. So he was lamenting like that, some separation. So when they took him in front of Nityananda Prabhu, he paid obeisances, and Nityananda Prabhu blessed him by touching his lotus feet on his head. Nityananda Prabhu said, Prabhu premavesha kahe. In ecstasy, Nityananda Prabhu said, Tomar nimitte, for your purpose, I lama shigra. I came here very fast. Eta kadadaha haite. I was there in Kadada. Because of you, I came here so that I know that you are coming here. To just give you mercy, I came here. Prabhu kahe, shigra vraje karah prayana. Very soon, go to Vraja. Tomara vamshe Prabhu dhiya chena seistana. It is for your family members. He has given away Vrindavana. You have to go to there and you have to be there with your family members, Rupa and Sanatana, because Vrindavana is your place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has delivered it to you people. So keeping him for some days, he trained him in devotional elements. Then he showed personally around the entire Navadvipa all the pastime places of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then he took him to the house of Sachi Mata, where Vishnupriya Devi was there. So she also blessed, and she also personally cooked the food offered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and fed Jiva Goswami. Then from there he took permission from Nityananda Prabhu. He started walking towards Vrindavan. He came to Kashi, where he met Madhusujan Vachaspati, an expert scholar and Sanskrit devotee also. So under him he took training in the various subjects like logic, Nyaya, Vedanta and other scriptures. And he became a very respected scholar in very young age. Everybody respected him in Kashi. And from there he proceeded to Vrindavan to meet Rupa and Sanatana. So it is not an easy life, even though you are one of the close proximity. You have to go through the troubles and other things. How he was tested by Rupa and Sanatana. Rupa Goswami was also further, stories are there. So, like the devotional perspective is, great devotees come here to set an example for others. How the material world is, how one has to handle the situation in this material world. Because this is dukkha alayam. We cannot expect any happiness here. It is a place of misery. So Krishna says this duality one has to simply tolerate. Second chapter 14 sloka, Matra sparshas kaunteya shitoshna sukadukkada agama paino anityas tam stitikshasva bharata. Oh Bharata, simply tolerate. These dualities will exist in this world. There is no other option. You have to tolerate it. And he says, one who is able to tolerate, so amrutatvaya kalapate, he becomes eligible for liberation from this cycle of birth. So the Pandavas are setting their example by tolerance, that we can also have to tolerate, we also should tolerate. And in the process of tolerance, we develop all the good qualities and we engage in devotional service, and we will be assured of going back home, back to Godhead. So that is the principle here. I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? Okay. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణవాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700. హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక